Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I'd like to make a very quick announcement. I have recently been playing around with my voice recording software and equipment, and I think I've managed to improve things quite a lot. So could you please let me know if you think this video sounds better or worse? Just pop it down in the comment section. I'd really appreciate any feedback that you can give me. Without further ado, let's crack on with today's video. So today guys, we're going to be taking a look at custom regiment traits, and specifically we're going to be examining the ones that make the best combinations when you're taking an infantry focused Imperial Guard list. Now this might be a pure infantry army where you want to overwhelm your enemy with waves after waves of infantry, or it might just be that when you've been putting your game plan together, you've decided that infantry are going to be the main focus and they're the ones that are going to win you the game. Now, in case you're a newer player or you're not sure where to find custom regiment traits, what you want to do is get yourself a copy of the Psychic Awakening, The Greater Good supplement. Now, this is a book that was released back in 8th edition, but is still very relevant for the Guard because as of the time of recording, we haven't had our 9th edition codex yet. And so this actually contains a lot of extra rules for our faction. But once you've got a copy of that book or you've got access to the regimental doctrines, what you're going to want to do is take a look at our first combination, which is Agile Warriors and Fire from the Hip. Now, how this combination works is Agile Warriors allows you to re-roll the advance roll, and Fire from the Hip allows you to shoot even if you have advanced, although it will be at a -1 to hit. Now, why this is such an effective combination is it allows you to really take advantage of the movement phase. And there are many people, including myself, who believe that games are won and lost in the movement phase. And often what you need to do in order to be successful in a game of 40k is to take ground, take the board and take control. If you sit back in your deployment zone, you're often going to struggle to achieve secondaries, and you're most certainly going to struggle to achieve primary points. So having a faction, having a regiment trait that really allows you to focus on the movement phase but also allows you to maintain and keep up a rate of fire is very, very effective. Now let's drill down a little bit further and find out why this is an effective combination. So what I tend to find in 9th edition with the relatively smaller board sizes, that a lot of the time your first line, your first wave infantry forces are only a move and a big advance away from being able to get on a primary objective turn 1. So Agile Warriors giving us that reroll means that we've got a really high chance of getting the advance roll that we want, and we don't have to use an order like move, move, move to achieve it. Now, don't get me wrong, move, move, move is an absolutely fantastic order. It's one of the most effective tools that Guard players have in their toolbox. But what you have to remember is if you're using move, 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 you're not shooting in your shooting phase. Now, for infantry-focused armies, that can be a problem because what you have to remember is that they already have a relatively low damage output in comparison to other Guard armies that might be using things like Lehman Russ tank commanders with demolisher cannons. So reducing that damage output even further can be a problem. And this is where Fire from the Hip comes in. It allows us to have all the benefits of being able to move around quickly without having to sacrifice our firepower output. Now, I know what some people are going to be saying, which is, but Mordian Glory, couldn't you just get the same effect from using the order Forwards for the Emperor? And yes, you could. In fact, Forwards for the Emperor would allow you to move and advance and shoot without a -1 to hit penalty. But here's the thing. If you're using Forwards for the Emperor, you're not using first rank fire, second rank fire. And so what Fire from the Hip allows you to do is have many of the benefits of Forwards for the Emperor and also be under the effect of the first rank fire, second rank fire order, which is almost like you're under the effect of 2 orders at once, which is quite handy. Now you might be saying, but what about that -1 to hit modifier? Here's the thing, in a lot of 9th edition competitive boards, you're going to find that your shots are going to be going across dense terrain, which gives you an inbuilt -1 to hit. Now the funny thing is, in 9th edition, -1 to hit modifiers can't stack, which means that if you're -1 to hit from Fire from the Hip, or you're -1 to hit from fire from dense terrain, it's still capped out at -1. So what I have found is quite effective with this trait is that you move, you advance, you put those shots through dense terrain anyway, and you're actually no worse for wear. And even if you aren't firing across dense terrain, you're going to want to do first rank fire, second rank fire anyway, because you're going to want to trigger Hammer of the Emperor as much as possible and give yourself the best chance of rolling as many 6s to hit as possible. You see, las guns hitting on 4s and 5s have still got to wound, and at strength 3, they're really going to struggle. What you're trying to do is get 6s to hit so that you get auto wounds, which actually makes las guns really, really effective. So when you add all this up, you've got an infantry squad that can move and advance and re-roll the advance roll, and they can still shoot, and they're still going to be putting out about 4 shots per guy thanks to first rank fire, second rank fire, which is really good. You've got movement and you've got firepower, which is a great combination to have. Now let's move on to the second combination, which is Disciplined Shooters and Wilderness Survivors, and this is actually one of my favourite combinations when running my pure infantry Mordian 50th rifles. So what Disciplined Shooters does is it gives you an 18-inch rapid fire range. So to be clear, it doesn't mean that your las guns have now got a 36-inch total range. No, they still have a maximum range of 24 inches, but rather than waiting to have to get within half range, which would be 12 inches normally, you only have to get within 18 inches and then you're able to rapid fire. Now that's not just with las guns, but that's with plasma guns and any other rapid fire weaponry as well. Now, I can personally testify to the power of this regimental doctrine. It basically means you're going to spend nearly the entire game in rapid fire range with your entire army. And that can even include turn 1, especially if your opponent goes first and he moves aggressively for you. In fact, if your opponent does go first, he probably is going to have to move somewhat aggressively because he's going to want to be able to get primary points on his turn 2. Now, because you're in rapid fire range from pretty much the whole game, that actually gives you a greatly increased rate of fire. Think about it. If nearly the entire game you're getting 4 shots from every single las gun, you're getting 2 shots from every single plasma gun, you're getting 2 shots from every single bolter gun, you're getting maximum shots from every single rapid fire weapon in your army, that means that you're going to be triggering Hammer of the Emperor a hell of a lot. And that means you're going to be doing a lot of damage to your opponent. But now let's take a look at the second part of this regimental doctrine, Wilderness Survivors. Now, I really like this because it greatly increases the durability of your infantry. How it works is if you have not advanced in your previous movement phase, then you get the benefits of cover to your saving throws. So that doesn't mean you get dense terrain, you're not -1 to hit, it gives you +1 armor save. Now, the reason I like this so much is, in a funny sort of way, it kind of feels like pseudo armor of contempt on my guard infantry, because if all of my guys have got +1 save, it's kind of like I'm reducing the incoming attacks of my enemies by 1. Now, what it means is that all of your guardsmen are going to be rocking a 4+ save, and in theory, that means you should be reducing the amount of damage you take by at least 16%. And often what I find about Wilderness Survivors is that it's the difference between your infantry getting a save or just quite simply not getting a save at all. It really, really does increase their durability. And I tend to find that this trait is really effective for countering some of the damage you're going to take when your opponent goes first. You see, one of the big problems in Warhammer 40k is that it's a fully I go, you go system, which means if someone gets the drop on you and gets turn 1, often you can find a significant portion of your army has been blown off the table and there's nothing you can do about it. But if your whole army is treated as having cover, it means that those large infantry formations that you might not be able to necessarily behind entirely out of line of sight still have a nice little durability boost and a good chance of surviving that incoming fire. Another reason why I like this is because it kind of indirectly increases your damage output as well, which was the main focus of our first regimental doctrine. You see, if you have got more people surviving every turn, it means that you've got more firepower going into your next shooting phase. So not only does it increase your durability, but indirectly it increases your damage output as well. Now, this trait combination does lend itself to a different way of playing. You see, unlike the first combination, which was obviously about taking ground early and being able to secure those primary points from turn 1, what you tend to find with the Disciplined Shooters and Wilderness Survivors is you're playing more of a long game, because you're not going to want to advance to give up those benefits to your saves, so you're going to want to take it a little bit slower. What I find with this combination is that you end up grinding your opponent out and clawing your way back and taking the lead turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. Now, before we wrap up today's video, I want to just make an honourable mention to a third possible combination, which is fire from the hip and disciplined shooters. Now, in theory, what this combination allows you to do is have the movement shenanigans of the first combination we talked about and combine it with the firepower output of the second combination that we talked about. It allows you to move and advance and shoot turn 1, which means you might be able to get onto some of those primary objectives, although you don't have the reroll to guarantee that. And it means that by moving and advancing and having an 18-inch range rapid fire range, you should be able to get a lot of your army into rapid fire range turn 1 from the get-go, which gives you more firepower thanks to being able to trigger Hammer of the Emperor straight away. I do think this is an effective combination and it might be a little bit of a sleeper, but personally I've not had the opportunity to test this thing out. If anyone who's watched the video has tried this combination out, let me know down in the comment section below what you thought about it. Did it work, or was it one of those that looked effective on paper but in reality it just couldn't quite do either thing effectively? It couldn't do the movement thing effectively and it couldn't do the shooting thing effectively. Let me know down in that comment section. But that's all we've got time for today. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. And if you've really enjoyed today's video and want to see more content like this, then please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter. It is thanks to the very generous support of my channel members and my patrons that I'm able to do this gig full time now, which is still kind of mind blowing to me. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to our latest channel members and Patreons. So a big thank you to Perkysaurus, Valhallan1212 Lover, Screbsy, Uber Branches, Eli Conan, Fox21231, No Name, Richard Green, James Bland, and Roger My Todger. I also want to say thank you to Ven Diesel, Goodwin Games, Museum Fremen, Dennis W, Faceless Gaming Inc, and Gunlock Zero for signing up and becoming Patreon supporters. And last but certainly not least, I want to take the time to say a personal, heartfelt thank you to all of my top tier Patreon supporters, my War Masters. These are the people that have truly gone the extra mile when it comes to supporting my channel, and I am eternally grateful to them. So a massive thank you, a big 07 down in the comment section for Navy Veteran, Philip French, Ross Miller, Alex Stengal, John Stubbs, Nicholas Walsh, Swordfish Trombone, Diesel Fox, Tom Sutton, and August Varney. Thank you guys, I really appreciate your ongoing support. But I hope you enjoyed today's video, thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys next time.